Hi everybody, welcome to Crafty Studio. I'm AnnMarie, and what I'm going to talk about in this video is our Patchwork Parcel box, and I'm going to run through how to actually make the block that makes the full-on quilt. But before I do, I just want to show you the one that I made as a mock-up. Now it's not in the same fabric, but it's kind of fabric that I really wanted to make something with, and I wasn't sure if I'd have enough, but I do have enough fabric then to make my own version of the Patchwork Parcel, which is the gift wrap quilt. So let me just show you this one first. Ta-da! Oh, is it sideways? So there it is there. This is the gift wrap quilt. So each block is like a different present. I just love it. It's brilliant. I designed this pattern a little while ago as a cushion and then turned it into a quilt. And I think, see the background? You could totally make this with different colours. Like, it doesn't have to be kind of festive or Christmassy. You could make it with, I could just imagine, because the whole point when I designed it first was that it was a gift for my daughter. And I thought, you know, big bows and different colour kind of wrapping paper on all the boxes, and it would make it a lot of fun. Great as a stash buster. You could make lots and lots of them. And then I also made with the leftovers, because I cut the same amount as if I had one of the patchwork boxes. So the patchwork ones is if I had a patchwork parcel, and I didn't make any mistakes, which was good. It does happen. And I had enough to make a table runner. How cute is that? So I just have a block on each end, and then the center one, if I fold it in where the blocks are, you can see the center one is just a long strip the same width as the bow, or as the ribbon, and then two long panels. And then it turns out to be a table runner. Now I have to bind that, but I didn't get time, didn't do it before Christmas, so it'll be for next Christmas. I didn't say which Christmas. So let's have a look at the actual parcel of what's in it. So this is for anybody who would like to get it for the next time. Now, it's not going to be a Christmas themed one, but every month is going to have a different theme, not particularly seasonal, but all based around the patterns. So the last pattern, the gift wrap quilt, I designed, and the next one will be designed by Timmy. She's at Scattered Bobbins. I'll just put the link down here if I remember. And it's a fab quilt, and she is sending it to me for me to test out. I'm so excited. These patterns will eventually be available individually, but not for this foreseeable future, because we're concentrating on the boxes. So when I started quilting, which I think was 7 years ago now, I think I would have loved something like this, like here's a project, do this project, because I had to go off and do lots of research, and then how do I do that technique and how do I do that? Now, I did do a few classes. I knew how to sew, but I didn't know all the different techniques. So what I'm hoping to do with all of these boxes, or sorry, I should say parcels, all of these, is there'll be a video to show you different techniques. So I'm going to show you today how to do the block, how to assemble the block, and how to, you know, iron the basics of making this block. And then as we go through every month, you'll learn different techniques and build up your skills. And that's the idea of the Patchwork Parcel. So everything comes to your door to make it, and then a little video to help you along. So I'm going to show you what's inside. For the people who didn't get them, this is it. Turn away if you haven't opened yours now. Don't watch this. So I have this is one that's sealed and everything. I asked Finton to bring, there was one last one in the shop, and I asked him to bring it down, so, because I didn't leave myself a pattern that's been printed. Isn't that terrible? Yeah. If you want one of these, there's like, I think this one left on the website, so you can go to that link thing down below. These are by Wicked Waxes. Oh my God. They're absolutely amazing. It's like wax melts. I'll put her thing down here. She makes amazing soy wax melts with all natural ingredients. They're just stunning. And she made them like little gingerbread men and Christmassy things. I've had it on at my house, and my house smells gorgeous. So that's Wicked Waxes. There's our pattern. And then little goodies. I'm not going to open that in case you decide to get it. And then you can see, and then the fabric is all wrapped up all lovely here in a little parcel. I love parcels. Unwrapping things. And then thread. So the thread I'm going to be using is this is Gutterman thread. So it's 50 weight cotton thread. Now, we're probably, if you're not a patchwork person, you might be using polyester for dressmaking or for crafts and things like that. Now, polyester is totally fine. This is all a personal choice, but I'll just tell you why you would use cotton. And it was a mistake I made earlier on. Nobody told me why you use cotton. They were just like, use cotton. I was like, it's a bit expensive. I'm not really bothered. So if you use cotton and then you use cotton fabric and then you use cotton batting, it's all cotton. And one, it's all natural, good for, you know, if you're giving it to children and that. And I was like, well, it's just the thread. Well, the first time I washed a cushion that I made, and it was made with polyester thread, the cotton shrunk, the polyester thread didn't, and it all started to tear away at the seams really quickly. But anything I've made since with cotton thread, no, don't have that problem at all, because it all shrinks at the same rate, and it seems to be fine. So it's a good tip, you know. But you can 100% use polyester. If I was doing a wall hanging or something that's not going to be washed very often, I just go ahead and use the polyester thread. I've done that for, say, I had a variegated thread that was really nice and I wanted to use it, so that's what I did. So that's our parcel. Now, pop that back in there. I need this, and I'm going to just cut my different pieces. So the fabric we have, I'm just going to show you fabric. So the fabric we have is this fabulous poinsettia. Now, I think I'm saying that wrong, isn't it? Poinsettia? Anyway, so this is going to be for our parcel, the actual box. Then we have, this is for our cornerstones. These are all words you'll learn if you're a beginner. This is for our ribbon. And then this is this is for the bow, and then this for the ribbon. Let me just double check. Yes, it is. And then this one is for our sashing. So that's a term that you'll need to know, is that's your sashing. And then, so let me just double check. That, because you can see the pictures on the front. That is your box. This one here is your bow. There's the same amounts of each of them in the box, so it doesn't really matter. If you prefer to swap them around, that's fine. So that's your bow, that's your ribbon. We made them slightly different so the bow stands out. Then this is your sashing, and this is your cornerstones. Now, I'm not going to need my cornerstones and my sashing just yet. I'm going to cut everything to make the block. So I'm going to show you a trick. First of all, we need to, see the way there's creases? This is being folded. So you don't pre-wash. You don't pre-wash fabric for a quilt. Some people do, but it's not about, you know, having it fit somebody, so it doesn't really matter. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to iron this, and this is about precision here. So if you iron it, it will make the whole cutting process way easier. So I'm going to quickly iron this. Okay, so I have that ironed and it's nice and smooth now. And what I want to do is I want to fold it so that I can cut it, because it's going to be very hard to cut strips off of this. So what you do to get this on grain is you put your two selvage. Now the selvage is that fuzzy edge that looks like it's got a bit of fringing on it. You put those together. Now let me hold that up. Now I'm going to put them really off so you can see. Can you see like little drag lines across it? If I turn it the other way, you'll be able to see a bit better. Probably not the best fabric, but basically it's not lined up, so you want to have a nice straight edge along the bottom. So if I turn, see the way it's all buckled, but if I line these up now, it doesn't mean lining up. I'm lining up the top, and I'm doing it until that bottom edge is nice and straight. Now, that does not mean, now if I look at that, that is straight. But if I just show you there, my edges aren't together. but it's nice and straight at the bottom. I'll just show you on the overhead as well. So if you look at the bottom part here, I've got a nice straight line there, but this edge is not matched up. And that's fine, because what we want to have is the grain going all the way down and in line with the grain on the other side. So our grain lines, so this is our weft and our warp. I'm going to take my large ruler. This ruler is a 24-inch ruler, okay? It is the width of fabric folded for quilting fabric. And it has on it inches marked. I am going to work 100% in inches, not in centimetres. Metric is used on the continent for quilting, but in the US and Ireland generally people use inches, so I'm working with inches. My brain works like that, so we're going to work with inches. The other ruler that I use is a little small 6.5 inch ruler, and they're the two that I stick to. I've loads of other ones, but I barely use them, but this one you'll use it for lots of things. So you want to look at the lines that are here at the bottom. Let me actually show you. Can you see those lines? So those lines, you want to get that along your bottom edge. So you line that up with your bottom edge and it will give you a straight line here. So we're going to tidy up this first, making sure and catching all the fabric underneath. It seems like you might be wasting fabric here, but actually you're not. I'm going to take a rotary cutter and open it up. Now, how you hold your rotary cutter, do not hold it up here. Don't hold it like this. You want to have these fingers away and you want to put one finger on top here. And that's a good way to use it. Keep this hand out of the way of the blade. Those blades are very sharp. So you put your hand and spread it out onto your rotary cutter. And then you start a little bit back and you push in from your shoulder. Don't push in on your hand down. You're really pushing down on your shoulder and then going across. Because if you only push on your hand, you'll only have so much pressure as you go along, whereas you're pushing down from your shoulder, you get one smooth movement. It takes a bit of practice to get this, and as you're going along you're using the thickness of that ruler to help you. Always close your blade afterwards. Now the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to actually turn this around. I'm going to fold it in half to make it easier to turn around, because I'm going to cut pieces off this way across. Now let me have a quick peek at my pattern. Just double checking what sizes I have to cut of this one. So this is the box. Just going to cut here the size it says on the pattern, 1, 2, 3, 4. And I'm lining up with that edge that I've trimmed so it's perfect. So once I have that long strip cut, I'm going to subcut it. Take off my selvage. Again, using my rulers, the lines on the rulers to keep it perfectly straight. So see how this smaller ruler actually makes it a lot easier. Imagine using the big ruler for this. Okay, so that's enough for my first. Actually, I should get 2 out of that. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and cut all the other pieces and then come back and show you how to put them all together. Okay, so I have here my pieces all cut out. There's 7 of these, 2 of these. These are the ribbon. This is the bow, and this is the background for the parcel, like the wrapping paper, the box. And then these are my cornerstones and my sashing. So we just need to start assembling all the different parts. So if you follow along with your actual pattern, and I'll do it step by step as the pattern shows you. So first of all, you want to take your pieces for your box. Now I'm going to put them side by side like this so you can see. It doesn't really matter what part you attach them to. But you're going to take 4 of these and you're going to place them on your corners. And we're going to do a thing called snowballing. So you're going to snowball these corners. 2 are going to be the same as each other, and then the other two are going to be the opposite way. So if you're new to patchwork, I would say draw it out first, and then we're going to sew that line. So I'm going to get myself a friction pen. Now, because this line is going to be sewed, it doesn't really matter. Water soluble pen. Don't use pencil, it gets a bit dirty. But yeah, definitely like something that could disappear, or some people use biros. So it's probably fine to use a biro. So I'm just going to draw a line and you can see then where I'm going to sew. Plus it stops confusion when you go over to the sewing machine and go, which way am I meant to be sewing this? And that way. And I'm going to pop a little pin on these. And I'm using those flat pins. They're great for patchwork. The round ones, I'll just show you here. If you put the round ones on it, like they still work as pins, but it creates more of a little buckle on the fabric compared to, I don't have another one here, so I'm just going to pop these in for now. So just keeping those lined up. So we're going to go over to the sewing machine and cut those. Or sorry, sew those, and then we're going to cut them. So I'm keeping my stitch length here quite small. We're going for 2.5. This is my new machine, it's so exciting. So put my needle down so I can take my pin out. And we're just sewing along that line. I'm going to try and line that up so we can just kind of go straight into them. This is called chain piecing. And what I'd recommend is make one of these blocks first and then do the rest of them chain pieced. So you know what step to do. So you cut everything and then piece everything bit by bit. Like batch sewing. Became went a bit skew there. Now we don't backstitch, never backstitch with quilting. There's no need. If you want to do a little bonus square, I'm just cutting these apart. What you can do is stitch another line here, and I'll show you in a second what that's going to do. So I'm just going to pop that down there. I'm using the edge of my foot. So now I have this little kind of flag thing, so you can see what I've done there. Let me just clip these apart. Oh, that's a little bell that a friend from my patchwork group gave me. They were in Japan. So you don't have to do this extra bit. Can you see there's 2 lines of stitching there? But if you do, like normally you would just sew there, cut, and then discard those pieces of fabric. But if I cut these, I'm going to cut them the proper way with a rotary cutter so it's nice and straight. But I tend to just use the scissors a lot when I'm trying to do a lot of quick sewing. Just I find it pretty easy to use the scissors. I think it's the dressmaker in me. So let's just cut that last one. So we have our pieces. Let me just put these aside. So we have our pieces, which are their snowballed corners. And then also we have these little half square triangles. How clever is that? So you can use them to make something else. So I'm going to iron these open. First thing to do is press your seam and then you iron it out like that. You don't want to push it too much, just be very gentle because you don't want to warp this. So I'm going to press these. And here are my finished pieces. These are my bonus squares. I'm going to put them to one side and I'll use them later on, maybe for another project. So we have 2 that go one way and 2 that go the other way. One goes that way, goes that way. So then the next part that we have to do is we have to, you can kind of see this starting to come together. So this is going to be like this. We'll put another square in there. This is going to be like this. We're going to sew these together. Now, actually, I don't think I checked my new machine, the 1/4 inch on the machine, but I'm going to go through that now. It didn't really matter the 1/4 inch here because we were sewing straight on a line, but it will matter here, our 1/4 inch. So we're going to attach this onto this side. Grab a pin so I can hold it there. And this goes onto this side here. I'm going to pin that, and when that's sewn I'm going to attach that one to there and that one to there. So I'm going back over to the machine now. So I'm going to check my 1/4 inch seam allowance. So I put my needle down and I'm going to use this handy gadget. It's a sewing gauge. You can get them in inches and in centimeters. So 1/4 inch. So I want it to be, the needle is 1/4 inch away. So it's actually just, we call it scant 1/4 inch, so it's slightly smaller than 1/4 inch. I'm looking at that and that needle is way over. It's more like, oh gosh, that looks like it's 3/8 inch. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put my needle up, and on my machine, if I move my needle over 2 clicks, I think that's still too far over. So I'm going to do another click. So I know 3 clicks over. And the edge of my foot is now 1/4 inch from my needle. Now you just have to figure that out on your machine, what position your needle needs to be in, and where you need to line up the edge of your fabric. This is all cotton thread in here, by the way. I'm just going to sew these. So here are our pieces, and as you can see, we've kind of made these triangle shapes by adding in our, it's a 2.5 inch square into the center there. So what we need to do is we need to press these. So you want to press them so that those seams go to the center. It'll automatically kind of want to go that direction. So I'm just going to give them a quick press now. Now, so that looks starting to look like a bow. Okay, so the next one, what we need to do is we're sewing the ribbon. So we have our ribbon pieces. And our ribbon pieces are going to go in here. And we have a piece that goes in the center. So that's straightforward. We're just going to attach them there. And then the next one we have over here is our box piece, and then our other piece of ribbon. Can you see how it's coming together? I love this. This is what I love about patchwork. It's like a big jigsaw puzzle. It's like adult jigsaw puzzles. So these are going to be attached together. This one's done. These are going to be attached together. This one's done. And these are going to be attached together. So let's go sew these. So we're sewing this to this to this, and this to this. So I'm going to do that now. So now they're all sewn together, we need to put these pieces together. So it's quite like a jigsaw. And the one thing I did do is I have ironed the seams from this block, this one and this one. I've ironed them out this way. whereas the ones from this centre block are towards the centre here. Now, the reason you alternate these is you want to nest your seams together. So I'm going to show you how to do that. So you lay your first block on top there, and then if you look here, so we've got one seam going one way and one going the other, and you kind of nest them, you click them in together like that. Can you see that? And we put a little pin in there, and that will help you line it up. So you click those two together so you can see it's all lined up. And you sew each part like that. So you sew that one, and then you sew this one onto here, and so on as you go along with the block. Now I'm just going to show you one thing to watch out for when you're doing the bow part. So this is where the triangles all meet together. So when you're coming up to the point where this line here intersects, so a line of stitching here intersects with this line of stitching here, you should sew just over the tip of that. So it's where that triangle of stitching meets, and that will help your seams all line up perfectly. Now, if they don't line up, that's okay. They don't always line up perfectly. And here is our lovely Christmas present block. Well, it's a gift, isn't it? It's a gift box. This is just because it's got Christmassy fabric on it. It's lovely. So the next thing to do is to add our sashing. I think I may turn this into a cushion because I'm short of a few Christmassy cushions in my house. I'm not short of a few quilts, but we'll see what happens. So what we need to do is you add on, you have 4 of these and you have 4 cornerstones. And this is how you would then make your quilt. You would make all your cornerstones and your sashing lengths, and you attach it all together. So I'm going to attach these two, add these onto my block, and then add this on here and this on here, and that will make a really good size panel if you want to make it into the quilt. If you're making the whole quilt, or you could decide, I have enough quilts, I don't need a full quilt, I'm going to make a load of cushions and a table runner, and there will be enough to make lots of cushions and a couple of table runners in all this fabric. And it's just a case of dividing up those individual blocks, and that is totally up to you. So I'd love to see what people make. You don't have to necessarily make the full quilt, but you could make the full quilt, because I have to say mine has been used over Christmas on the sofa, cuddling up. We did a movie night, and we watched The Grinch, and there's a few other films that we watched, selected for by the kids, by the way. And Home Alone, actually, I think was a favourite theirs, which is actually really cool to see that they want to watch Home Alone. So I'm going to sew these last few blocks and then show you pieces, and then show you the final block. And there is our final block. So that's our block with sashing around it, and you will continue on with those till you have your quilt made, or if you decide to make it in a cushion like I am here. And that's totally up to you. So I hope this was useful for you to make your patchwork parcel gift wrap quilt. If you have any questions at all, just pop them in the comments below, and then I can answer them, because I'll get notifications about those. So best of luck with your patchwork parcel, and I hope you really enjoyed this tutorial. If you did, please click the link below and subscribe. All future patchwork parcel tutorials will be in the parcel. So you will get like a little QR code, and you'll be able to scan it, and it will bring you to a private video. After this month, they won't be public. So this is just to let people know what will be involved in the box, and maybe give you some hints and tricks. So I hope you enjoyed that, and I shall see you all soon. Bye bye.